Today I'm going to walk you through these 5 hobbies that INFPs naturally enjoy and love, but we don't recognize them as legitimate. When you don't recognize these as valid hobbies, then you end up feeling broken or flawed, like you can't stick with anything, like you can't find something that is important to you. And understanding these patterns won't just make you feel better about yourself, it'll help you design a life that works with your natural tendencies instead of against them. And that is when everything just feels better and the magic happens. So I've spent years studying personality types, and one thing that I've noticed about INFPs is that we often beat ourselves up for the patterns and the behaviors that are actually perfectly aligned with how our minds work. Your dominant function, introverted feeling, FI, this is what I call the soul, is about your convictions, your values, what's important to you, your conscience. And you combine that with extroverted intuition, NE, what I call the explorer, which is about exploring idea space, innovation, connecting ideas, smashing together ideas. That combination of soul and explorer creates a completely unique and different relationship with activities that you enjoy. I constantly create these elaborate fantasy worlds in my head. I develop characters with complex backstories. I design intricate magic systems, and I imagine entire civilizations, but I rarely share any of it with anyone. But actually, this private world building is a profound expression of your FI, soul, and NE, explorer combination. Your introverted feeling, that soul, creates this deeply personal value system, and it searches for meaning. And your extroverted intuition, the explorer, explores endless possibilities. And together they're creating this rich inner landscape that doesn't need external validation. It doesn't need to feel valuable to other people. It's just something that you do. Unlike ENFPs, who might immediately want to share their creations, you as an INFP often find the creation itself the reward. The act of building these worlds that helps you process emotions, and you put yourself in a character's skin and get to understand yourself better. It's amazing. So next time you catch yourself lost in an imaginary world, don't dismiss it as just daydreaming. Recognize it as a legitimate hobby that's nurturing your soul in ways that are uniquely valuable to your personality type. The first hobby INFPs love but aren't aware of is world building without an audience. I used to think it was just overthinking or being too sensitive when I'd spend hours analyzing how I felt about something that happened years ago. But it's not a flaw, it's actually one of our superpowers as an INFP. Your dominant function, introverted feeling, the soul, is constantly refining your understanding of what matters to you. It's a never-ending process. When you zoom back in time to these past experiences, you're examining how they made you feel. You're not being obsessive. You might be if you're stuck in limerence, but generally, you're actually doing some important internal work that helps you understand your values and your emotions more clearly. The second hobby INFPs love but possibly aren't aware of is what we can call emotional cartography. This is the process of navigating and mapping our own emotional experiences and examining them from different angles and working to uncover deeper meanings. It's like being an explorer of your own heart and idea space. And this emotional cartography is so difficult to say. It's how you develop this deeper, authentic sense of self. And it makes you, as an INFP, such a powerful writer, artist, friend, change worker. It's how you learn to recognize what resonates with your core self and what resonates with other people too, and what doesn't. So the next time that you find yourself analyzing an emotional experience from 300 different angles, don't beat yourself up for dwelling on the past. Recognize that you're engaged in a hobby that's essential for growth as an INFP. So the third hobby that INFPs love but aren't aware of is collecting unfinished projects. And I know this one sounds like a joke, but I'm actually serious here. That drawer full of half-finished stories, that folder of songs and ideas that you've half created, the art supplies that you keep buying, right, for different techniques that you've only tried once, the calligraphy brush that you bought and used once, These aren't failures. They're actually a collection. For years, I felt guilty about abandoning projects. I'd start something with this intense fervor, this passion, and then I'd move on to the next thing a few weeks later if I even made it that far. I thought that it meant that I lacked discipline, that I lacked commitment. But what I've realized is that for INFPs, we love starting. That moment when possibilities are endless and you're discovering something new, your NE, the explorer, starts thriving on novelty, on potential, on possibilities. It's not focused on completion. It has no desire to complete anything. It just wants to explore. Each unfinished project then represents this period of growth for you, a moment of inspiration, a valuable insight into yourself, a learning experience. And together they can form this kind of like museum of your creative journey. So instead of seeing these as failures, try reframing it as a collection of creative explorations. Each one probably taught you something, sparked joy for a time, and that helped you discover more of what truly resonates with your authentic self. If it hasn't done that yet, then maybe it's time to look into your past, look at all your hobbies and say, this collection, this group of hobbies has actually been something that you've stuck with for decades. If that's the case, then do more of that. So the fourth hobby, have you ever found yourself in a completely hypothetical moral dilemma? Maybe you've wondered what you would do if you found a wallet outside with someone's life savings in it, or how you'd handle a friend betraying your trust in a specific scenario or situation. This isn't just overthinking, it's actually your FI and your NE, your soul and your explorer, again, working together to explore and refine your value system. Your soul wants you to understand what is truly right according to your values and your internal compass, while your NE, your explorer, is generating all these different possible scenarios to test those values against each other. So I used to think that this was just a mental exercise, that it was just anxiety and indecision, but it's actually more of a sophisticated form of self-development that's helping you prepare for real life situations where your values might be tested. If you're in a certain position and somebody asks you to do this thing, how are you going to react? This is rehearsal for it. So the fourth hobby INFPs love but aren't aware of is conducting these ethical thought experiments. These thought experiments, again, are not a waste of time. It's how you develop your strong moral compass, and it makes INFPs such powerful advocates and friends. If you don't spend your time doing that stuff, then likely you're just numbing yourself and you're not finding what is truly valuable to you. This is how you understand and ensure that your actions align with your deepest values. And this also is prime fodder for writing stories, for writing songs, for creative projects. So the next time that you find yourself in this imaginary ethical dilemma, recognize that you're not just worrying about stuff, you're actually engaged in a hobby that's strengthening your values, strengthening your introverted feeling, and your core as an INFP. And the fifth hobby that INFPs love but likely don't recognize or aren't aware of is when you actively seek out experiences or art or music or stories specifically for how they make you feel. You're not just consuming content, you're collecting emotional experiences. So I go through these periods where I listen to the same song on repeat for days. Not because I love the melody, but because it captured exactly how I was feeling at that moment. I want to relive that emotional experience. Or maybe I reread the same passage in a book or rewatch a video because it resonated with something deep inside of me. And this isn't just being sentimental. This is your soul, introverted feeling, and it's constantly seeking these different authentic emotional experiences that help you understand yourself better. So when you find the perfect song or story or art piece that really resonates with you, but you weren't able to express it at that time, it's like this puzzle piece of yourself that just locks in. And also your SI, introverted sensing, what I call the guardian. This is about stability, reflecting on the past, ruminating on what happened before, and taking from it insights and wisdom. Well, this part of you, the guardian, loves nostalgia. It loves repetition as well. So over time, you build this personal library of these emotional resonances and, again, songs that capture specific feelings or movies that express particular values, books that articulate parts of your inner world. This collection becomes like a kind of external hard drive of your emotional life. You just have access to it whenever you want, and you can share that with other people if you so felt compelled to. So the next time you find yourself watching the same movie scene over and over again, listening to a song that makes you cry, recognize that you're not just being repetitive, that you're not stuck. You're just engaged deeply in an INFP hobby of emotional resonance collecting. Emotional resonance collecting. Resonance. It's a resonance. Resonance. My name's Resonancy. Welcome. So it's important to realize that what makes something a hobby isn't whether it fits in society's definition. It's whether it engages your cognitive functions, your personality type, your experiences in a way that feels energizing and authentic to you. And as an INFP, your hobbies might not look like traditional hobbies. They might, but they might not. They might be more internal, maybe a bit more inconsistent, or impossible to display on a shelf for other people to understand, but that doesn't make it less valuable. Just because they don't see it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. And when you recognize these natural tendencies as legitimate hobbies rather than flaws or failures, it feels better. You stop fighting against your nature, your natural ways, your personality type, and you start working with it instead. And I know what you might be thinking, but Matt, I still need to finish some things sometimes. I can't just collect unfinished projects and hobbies forever. You're probably right. And I'm not saying that you should never finish a project or complete anything. What I'm saying is those unfinished projects, those hours spent daydreaming, those deep dives into your emotional experiences, they're not signs that you're broken or flawed. They're signs that you are an INFP doing exactly what INFPs do best. You're exploring rich inner landscapes of meaning, possibility, and authentic feeling. And by recognizing these 5 hobbies, world building without an audience, emotional cartography, collecting unfinished projects, ethical thought experiments, and emotional resonance collecting, then you can start to appreciate the unique way that your mind works as an INFP instead of constantly fighting against it. And speaking of how your mind works, I did a deep dive into how the INFP brain works with Dr. Dario Nardi recently, and I know it will be insightful for you. So go ahead and click on the video over here in the corner and get ready to learn exactly how your brain works. Or you can check out the Evolve community where we explore what it means to be an INFP and other personality types and self-development in depth in a way that will help you understand your strengths and how to work with your personality type instead of against it.